Guys, my name is Broken, and today I wanted to make a video about Outworld Devourer. Now the reason I want to talk about OD is because he's really strong in this current patch, and he's also very good against Ember Spirit. As well as that, someone requested that I make this video, and I decided I would follow up on that request. The first thing I want to say is you probably shouldn't be picking Ember against OD. If OD is picked first, you do not want to pick Ember into it. Now obviously, if the OD has picked after you, then the next thing you want to do is try and avoid the lane. If you can go safe lane rather than mid, if the OD is going to be mid, then you want to do so. But if you are forced into the mid lane against the OD, then the best thing to do is try and play passively. You're going to have a really hard time winning this lane against the constant harass from the OD's arcane orbs, and it's going to be hard to contest last hits. So what you should do is play back, get what experience and goals you can by pulling the aggro constantly towards your high ground so you can snag a few last hits. This being said, however, it is possible that you snag a free kill on the OD if you just watch his mana pool. It is possible that he uses one too many arcane orbs and doesn't get a lucky proc from his passive, this one right here, and if that's the case, you may be able to get a quick kill if you're level 4 or level 5 and he has no mana, because without his arcane orb he's going to have a hard time standing his ground against you. Apart from this, if you do want to kill him, you want to make sure you have help from your supports, and most importantly that those supports, like this line, have lots and lots of disables, because without disables what can happen is the OD just banishes one and focuses down the other with arcane orbs, and very likely he will come out on top in that engagement. Now, why is OD really strong against Ember? Well, it mainly boils down to the items he builds and his spells, primarily Arcane Orb. As you can see, Arcane Orb is attached to his auto attacks, so it does a lot of physical damage, which Ember is already weak to because of his low armor in the early game, and on top of that it does a lot of pure damage, and I mean a lot of pure damage. Also, since Flame Guard only blocks magical damage, the pure damage goes straight through it. On top of this, the intelligence steal from the Arcane Orb is pretty strong against Ember, and it can lead to some embarrassing situations where we thought we had enough mana to use the spell, but because of the insteal from OD, our mana drops too low and we're not able to use it. So we need to make sure that if we do have a Remnant out and we're planning to use it, or we want to use our Sleight of Fist, we need to keep a good eye on our mana pool and make sure that we're able to get our first spell before our mana drops too low. The next thing is that you really shouldn't try and man-fight up against an OD. Now, this is the case for most heroes when playing as Ember. You don't really want to man-fight them in general, but especially not a hero like OD. As you can see, I can walk up, I can use my spells, but the OD will just, use whatever, and there's no way that I win this fight. He can just burst me down with his arcane orbs, so you don't want to man fight him if possible. However, if you are in a situation when you really need to man up against him and you want to bring him down, the best thing to do is try and kite him as much as possible. To do so, you can cancel his auto attacks with your Tearing Chains. You can use Sleight of Fist, you can use a Blink Dagger if you have one, the same with Manta. You can go back and forth with your remnants, whatever you need to do for you to be untargetable for as long as possible so that he can't get those arcane orbs off on you. The last thing you want to do is just sit there while he hits you with arcane orb. Now the next thing I want to talk about is items, primarily BKB. I think that this item is absolutely invaluable against OD, and it's really, really good. Obviously, the main source of OD's damage output comes from his arcane orb as well as his ultimate. In fact, basically all of it. And he can't cast his orb on BKB units. As you see, I have it on autocast right here, and when I cast BKB, the OD can't hit it off of me. This is because even though it's pure damage coming from Arcane Orb, he can't actually cast it on BKB units. On top of this, OD's ult will do no damage through the BKB, and as well as this, he can't use any of his disables like Scythe of Ice or Orchid Malevolence. Speaking of Orchid Malevolence, Manta Style is also a really good item to pick up when the OD buys an Orchid. As you can see, he can Orchid us, and we simply remove it with the Manta. Pretty simple. The next item I want to talk about here is Lincoln Sphere, and actually I wanted to say that this item isn't so good against OD, but sometimes you need to get it. The reason it's not so good is because OD has a really easy time just removing the Lincolns and then using another disable. This being because he can either do it with his Astral Imprisonment, which is pretty easy to do since if he cancels the backswing, he can get off his second his item, his Orchid or his Scythe, straight away after. And he can also do it if he's got multiple single target items, such as an Atos. He can just use the Atos and then use his other disable. This is why it's often better to have a Manta than a Linken's against an Orchid OD, because if he does break the Linken's and then silence you, you have no way to get out of it, whereas with the Manta, you can always remove the silence. The last item I want to talk about is Blink Dagger, because even though this item is good on Ember anyway, and I think it's core in most games, it is particularly good against OD because it helps you kite him, if you have it, and also, if the OD is a little bit slower than you, when he tries to blink and hex, you can blink away with your Blink Dagger. Now, there's one last thing which I want to cover, which is a little tip for you guys, which is when you get imprisoned, if the OD wants to imprison you and then hex you, you can pretty much always get out of it if you have a Remnant up. As you can see, I just cast my Remnant, and the OD will try and hex me, but no matter how much he spams it, how fast he is, he's not going to get it because we Remnant away instantly. There is one thing, however, I want to mention with this, which is that you must cast your Activate Fire Remnant in the direction you are facing. The reason for this is because if you don't, your hero is going to turn before he Remnants away, and that will give the OD time to hex, which I will demonstrate now. Sorry, I had a bit of lag there, so it didn't actually work. I'll do it again. Let me just refresh. Okay, let me try that one again. There we go. As you can see this time, since I wasn't lagging there, my hero took time to turn, and the OD was able to get the hex off on me. So make sure that when you are doing this, you cast Activate Fire Remnant in the direction your hero was facing when you got Astral Imprisoned. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope these tips helped you out. I hope it makes it a bit easier to play against OD and you know which items you want to buy. If so, please leave a like down below. And any feedback you have or any constructive criticism, any things you think I did well, please tell me down in the comments below. And also, if you guys have any more requests, any more heroes you'd like to see, or maybe some items you want me to talk about on Ember Spirit so that we can discuss those, please also say so in the comments down below, and I'll see if I can get around to that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I will see you in the next one.